Hello guys, welcome to PHP Basics section 2.4 part 1. In this lecture I'll be showing you how to create forms using HTML and PHP. Also I'll show you the validation in HTML and PHP, and in my future lectures I'll show you the get method and the put method and the image integration with the form and document integration. Document integration, they use it, let's say you submit your CV through a website if you want to work there. So I'll show you how it works. So let's get started here. I'll create a div container, and inside this container I'll be creating an H2 basic form and also a span saying that it's section 2.4 part 1. Now I'll be creating my form, and you always have to remember a form, you have the action and the method. If you don't specify the method, it will go through a get automatically. So now we want a post method and the action of my form. So when the user submit my form, I would like to process the information through form.php. It's a file that I've created. It's empty for now, but form.php. And now div.call sm6. So this is Bootstrap library. I'm using Bootstrap library. So in my I have linked it in assets and CSS and Bootstrap. In my previous lecture I showed you how it works. So I'll create a label, first name, and here first name, and the input where the user will enter the information. The input, you have many types. You have type text, email, number, a hidden password. I'll be showing you a couple of examples, and the name of this input I'll be calling it a first name. I just want to copy this, paste it here, because we'll have also for email, but the type will be email. So now that we have our inputs, if you go to your browser and refresh, so we have the first name and email. Now we want a button to be triggered, but inside our form. So you need to remember that it has to be inside your form. And the type of this button will be a submit type, and the name I'll be calling form register, and the button itself register. So now that we have that, go back, refresh. So we have the register, first name and email. But now I want to make it, I will style it nicer. So I'm using Bootstrap form control instead of coding all the CSS. So class form control, and for the button, the class will be btn success, and I'm using a break line here. So perfect. So now if I go back, refresh, so we have much nicer form. Let me put here after this to break line. You can use CSS also, it's much nicer by using margin top, but now I'm just using a break line to show you the example. So now that we have our form, we have the first name and the email. So now to start validating using HTML, if the user now click on register, it should go straight to form.php, and you don't want that. You need to make sure that the user enter information before he submit this form. And in order to do that in HTML, we just go required. That means I want the user to be obliged to enter information before he could submit this form. So if you go back to your browser, refresh, you click on register, it will tell you, please make sure fill out this field. So you cannot submit this information without filling the field. And also I want minimum length of 3 characters for the name and the maximum length of 50. You also have different type of validation in HTML. You have the patterns, but we won't be using that. It's used more for emails, phone numbers and stuff. So I'll be doing the same for email, and the maximum length will be 50. So now if you go back, you try to put 1 character, it'll tell me, oh, please make sure it's minimum of 3 characters, and I only have 1. So this is a type of validation, but this is not secure enough, because if a hacker will understand how it works, you can just debug, click on F12 if you're on Chrome, and remove that validation in HTML, and you can submit the form empty. So if I remove that, click register without refreshing my browser, I could submit the form, and this is, you don't want this to happen. So in order to create a better security for your system, we need to create a validation using PHP. So let's get started with PHP in form. So I open my PHP tag. Now if server method request is equal to post, then I want you to go in, else I want to redirect the user with the header location to index.php, and now I'll be using no, for now forget. Okay, so now what happened here, and I just want to write down the information to show you. So now I'm saying if a post method is triggered, I want to go in here. If it's not a post method is triggered, I want you to go back to the index. I don't want you to do anything here. So now if we put some information, register, request method equal to post, var done post, alright, from register, and this is a post method. Alright, so let's try this. Okay, must be an error here. If server, give me a second just to see. Oh, sorry. It's request method, it's not method request. So if request method is equal to post, I want you to go in. So now if we try this again, bang. So we're inside here, and I just want to show you the information. So it's an array. The first name, it's our input, and the string, this is what the user input, and the email, this is what, and this is the button that was triggered, is form register. But now let's say you have many forms, and you cannot just use that and start using validations here, because you have many forms and some of your forms are different variables and stuff. So what you need to do, so if eset, that means form register. So if form register is triggered, I want to go in and do the following. But if it's not triggered, he can come in here, but I don't want him to go inside here, because you might have, let's say here you have form register, and also here you will have probably form login with different button name login. So you have different type of validation and different type of processing the information of the user. So you need to say that if this specific form is triggered with this button, then I want you to go in. Else, I want you to go out and go back to the index.php. So now that we have this button triggered, let's create variables, and those variables will be the first name and email, post email, and also I'll be creating a variable, it's a boolean called valid, and this one, when we process the information, because coding it goes to top to bottom, and this variable will be true for now. This is a boolean, we call it. So now let's create validations using PHP. I'll be showing you the basics. So now if name is equal to null, so that means if the name is empty, or str length, the name is less than 3, that means it is less than 3 characters, because this it tells you how many characters the name is, or str length, oh my god, str length, the name is more than 50, I want the valid to be false, and I want an error message to be please make sure is more than 3 characters and less than 50. So I'll be copying this and paste it and change it to the email, and the email we said it's 7 characters the minimum. So now what happened, if the user made a mistake or he didn't follow the rules of putting 3 characters or not putting anything inside the input, I want the valid to be false. And the reason why, because if there's nothing wrong with the validation, the condition, I want to insert the information into my database, right? And here I want the header location to go back to the index.php, and also I want to create another variable and thank you for your registration. Else, if it's false, that means there's a mistake, something happened, and I still want to redirect the user to the index.php, but this time I want to add an error to it. And how you do it, like now what happened here, if valid, that means if valid is true, you can use it this way, you can use it this way, or you can use it this way, it's the same. Alright, so if valid is still true, that means the user didn't do anything wrong with the name, so the name he entered, he followed your conditions. So if there's nothing wrong, it should stay true, because in the beginning it was true. Please go in and show this message. But how you show the message, to the user? You can do it by a session, by a cookie. You can do it by a get method. I'll show you an easy way, a get method, and I'll be showing you a session in the future. So before I show you anything, there's another type of validation that you need to be using. It's strip tags and trimming the string, because hackers could just inject inside your input a script that will alert and it will show information about your system and credentials and stuff. So you need to secure that. All right, and in order to do this, first, just to show you the example, I'll be removing here the validation. So I'll be removing the validation here for now, and also the type text. Alright, so I'll be showing you the first name. It will be more secure. So this is how you do it. Usually I use a class and it filters the data differently, and also validations using an array and stuff, but for now, for this course, this is more than enough, and in the future with your experience you will be able to do much more. So I'll be showing you one with the strip tags and one without. So now if I click register, alright, so I want to var dump the information to be able to show you, and here the email. Go back. If you put a script, usually a script it's not like this, but it could be like this. Form 73, there's an error. 73, yeah. Someone of ESET. Oh yeah. Okay. Perfect. So now if I refresh, okay, so look what happened here. The one with the strip tag filtering the data of the user, I can see only the string, but for the email, without the validation, without the filtering, I can see script, alert, script. So you don't want that, because this is very vulnerable for hacking, and also you don't want to enter into your database this type of scripts, because when you output the information, let's say most of the website that you're gonna have will be using a database, and the database will show the information to the user, and if you have this type of alert, it's not good. It's gonna pop up in front of the user. So the best way to do it, you need to filter the data. So now I'm filtering the data here. Just gonna go back like before. Okay, so now you want to show the user the output. When he submit, he need to see something. Thank you for your registration, or there's a problem, please try later, blah blah blah. So in order to do that, here, and this is a get method. So in the header location, when there's a success, I want to create a variable inside the URL, and I want to pass the success message. And if something wrong, I want to pass a variable called error and pass the error message, which will be one of the two here. So now inside your index in the form, you can put it outside of the form. I'll be creating PHP in if case. So the secure way to do it, it's if you have a get method success, I want to show a div, and the class will be alert success, and I would like to echo the message of the get, which will be the get success, and I'll be closing the if case down here. So now what happened, and I'll create another one, and this will be the error message. and here the alert is danger. This is Bootstrap. So here we have message error, and this is message success. Alright, so now if you refresh your browser, go back, it'll tell you thank you for your registration. And because if you look at the URL, we have the success message and we have the note which thank you for your registration. Usually we encrypt that because it's more secure. Usually we don't use it for showing the showing an alert to the user. We use sessions, but this is the message here. So if you have an error, for example, I'll be showing you. So you see what happened here, it's because this one is triggered, because the variable, the get, is error. So this one is success, it will show. If you have anything else, it won't show anything. So let me show you an error that will happen using one character. It will tell you please make sure is more than 3 characters and less than 50, because it went inside my code and went through, oh, this guy put 1, it's less than 3, so bang, this is the error, and the valid become false. So when he tried to get in here, it will go on the else and it will show the error message, which will be this one. So now let me show you how to do it to the session. So the session, you need to session start in the beginning here in your PHP, and also for the form, all session start. And in order to do it with the session, instead of the error, just create here the session error, and the same right here. And also I'll be removing the success here. I'll be removing the get method because now I want to use a session. It's so much nicer. And session success. So now we're using session. It's not a get, so I'm just going to change it to a session. Sorry, what happened here? Alright, so now if you go back, we have nothing. We'll try it. Register. Now we have thank you for your registration, but using session. We're not using any get method. So, but the problem with the session now, if you refresh, the session will still here. So you need to make sure that you delete the type of session, and I will be showing you in the future when you refresh the browser, it should be deleted automatically. And this is the course, this is for this lecture 2.4 part 1, section 2.4 part 1. And in my second lecture, I'll be showing you how to use a form with the get method, and also image integration and document integration. Thank you very much for watching.